Joe Biden drops out of the presidential race and endorses Kamala Harris. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and today we have to talk about the 2024 presidential election because President Biden has dropped out of the race. Yeah, that's right. After months of speculation, after weeks of Democrats trying to force him out, they were successful. They got rid of Biden, and more than likely, they're going to get Kamala Harris as their next nominee. Which, on paper, it seems like a good idea. Like, okay, this is the current vice president, you know, she's a minority, she's a woman, all of that. So on paper, this seems like a good idea to replace Biden with Kamala Harris. Hell, Democrats are seeing a massive surge of fundraising ever since Kamala Harris all but got the nomination. Now, things could theoretically change, you know, she could technically not be the nominee, but at this point in time, I think it's Kamala Harris. I think she's going to be the nominee come August. But there are so many problems that I don't think Democrats, you know, thought of when they decided to get rid of Biden. Which, by the way, where's Joe? I'm being dead serious. Is he even alive at this point? We haven't seen a single bit of evidence to vindicate that he's even alive. Which, I don't like to talk like that, but do we have any proof he's even around? Because his statement you could look at and you realize that the frickin' signature looked fake. It looked like a forgery. There wasn't a seal. It's just like, wait a minute. What's going on here? Ignoring that for a second, though, Biden, quote-unquote, dropped out and endorsed Kamala Harris. So that's why I think she's going to be the nominee when the Democrat convention happens. But of all the people they decided to go with, Kamala Harris is by far the weakest option. And I'm going to argue this, that she is a far weaker candidate than Joe Biden. I know it's hard to do, but people got to realize Kamala Harris is not a good politician. Hell, she's one of the dumbest people in politics. And frankly, she slept her way to the top. That's why she's the vice president. If it wasn't for that, no one would know who the hell Kamala Harris is. You think I'm kidding? Look up Willie Brown. And that's a whole rabbit hole in itself. But either way, Kamala Harris might be the least qualified person to be the nominee of either party. Ever. I mean, who else is less qualified than Harris? Just because she was elected to the Senate, just because she was the Attorney General of California, that doesn't mean squat. She's not qualified. Hell, when she ran back in 2020, she got 1% of the vote. So much for the party of democracy, by the way. Everyone in the Democrat Party, I should say everyone, but the vast majority of people voted for Biden. They didn't vote for Harris. Stop this crap that, well, actually Harris is on the ticket. No one voted for Biden because of Kamala Harris. Stop this crap that they actually did. Joe Biden was the nominee. The people wanted him, which I'm still questioning why. But that's what the Democrat Party wanted. That's what their voters supported. But at the last second, the quote-unquote party of democracy forced him out at the 11th hour. And now they're going to get Kamala Harris, who, by the way, no one voted for. Even back in 2020, when she dropped out in, like, November in 2020, in 2019, I should say, she ended up with, like, 0.5% of the vote. But now, she's probably going to be the nominee. What a very democratic system. You screwed over Dean Phillips, RFK, hell, even Williamson for this. And in my opinion, this might be one of the biggest problems Democrats are not accounting for. A lot of voters are going to be pissed off about this. I'm not saying that half the party's going to vote against her, but think about it. Not a single Democrat voter voted for Harris this cycle. And now she's going to be the nominee. Hell, we already have big donors. They're furious right now. They are so pissed off at the party right now. They're saying, nope, we're done. We're not going to give Harris a dime. So yes, the vast majority of the party will get behind Harris, but there's going to be a decent chunk. I'm saying this right now. A decent chunk of the party, they're not going to get behind Harris. That doesn't mean they're going to vote for Trump, but that doesn't mean these people are going to vote for Harris or even vote at all. Because they're going to be pissed off because, think about it. They were told by their party, that was supposedly the party of democracy, that your vote doesn't matter. While the Republicans, they had insurrection on January 6th, they supported all of that. That was a whole Democrat talking point, by the way, that the party of insurrection was the Republican Party and all that crap, and the Democrat Party was a party of democracy. Yeah, how is that going to work now? I know some Democrats are going to still think, oh, the Democratic Party is still very democratic. It's not. The party leadership decided, screw you. We don't care what you think. We want Kamala Harris. And that, in my opinion, is going to be one of the biggest problems that they're not accounting for. I really don't think they thought this through. They just thought, okay, if we replace Biden with Harris, which I think there's two theories for why they did this, but let's just say they really thought Kamala Harris was going to save them. I don't think they thought through the fact, wait a minute, we had like 15 million people vote for Biden, while Kamala Harris got 0 votes. That's not good for Democrats at all, but either way. Now, people are going to say, well, Democrats are fundraising like $80 million or something crazy like that, which, yes, that's impressive. It is more than what Trump raised after the conviction. There's a big problem with this theory, though. I guarantee you when it comes out, the vast majority of these donors, they were resist libs. They're white, upper middle class voters in like California, in New York, aka the core Democrat voter. That's what's happening here. I guarantee you in a month, they're going to admit, yeah, 95% of our donors the past month, they donated to us before. But this is just the first time, this cycle that they did or something. That's what's probably going to happen. It may not, these could be new voters, but from everything I'm reading as of now about the $80 million, it sounds like it's a bunch of upper middle class white women giving a bunch of money to Harris. It's not like with Trump where it was like 40% of the people that gave him money after the conviction, they were new donors, they were Democrats, they weren't partisan Republicans. Here it sounds like it's a bunch of Democrats just giving Democrats a bunch of money because they're so enthusiastic about, we could have our first African-American woman be the president. That's how these voters think, but either way. The problem is, I don't think they're going to keep this up. They're going to have like a good week of fundraising, but then watch, next week, their fundraising is going to drop to 0. It may not. I guess it's possible it stays very good. But the more you look at the data, it just seems like this is a one-time thing. This isn't going to be a consistent trend where they fundraise $50 million each day. That's not going to happen. And there's a good chance these voters, they just maxed out their donations now, and come October, they could give nothing. So that's the first problem. I think this enthusiasm surge, it's going to last for like a week or two. But then reality is going to hit. And it's going to hit hard. Because we already have a post-dropout poll from Southern Cal Research. And for those that don't know, I actually know him. He's a great guy. He's not faking his data. This is an actual poll. He got out so fast because it's an online panel and all of that. But either way, he has it Trump plus 8. With third parties, it's Trump plus 6. Trump plus 8. It's only one poll. I get it. Things could change. It's early. But this is the exact same margin that he found before the dropout. He actually had a poll like 2 weeks ago. It was, I think, Trump plus 8 versus Harris as well. So there's no change from before the dropout to now. So, and this is the part I want to talk about a lot because this is something Democrats are not accepting. Kamala Harris is not a strong candidate. This is only one poll, but you know what? Let's look at favorability. Now, this Twitter account, Trump Memes, go follow it. Trump 2K24, go follow him. He went back to 2016 and looked at Hillary Clinton's favorabilities. At the time of the election, it was -12, which is not good. Kamala Harris, -14. Yeah, -14 favorability. That is awful. And you could compare it to Biden, who actually had a slightly worse favorability, but that's expected. When you're the vice president, You should not be having numbers this bad. You should be having all right numbers. Not perfect, but it should not be -14. And it's not just, oh, a lot of people don't know who she is. That's true. There's like 10% of voters that don't have an opinion of her. But look at this. She's at 38% favorability, while 52% of voters think they have an unfavorable view of Kamala Harris. That's a majority. That's worse than Trump. Trump has a favorability of -11, but that's 3 points better than Harris, and that's with a lot of undecideds not knowing who Kamala Harris is. I guarantee you if these people learn who Kamala Harris really is, and this is going to be a big problem for Democrats, this number is going to tank. Because people are going to realize she is dumb. She is not good. She's awful. She's more incompetent than Biden. All you have to say, and I think Trump campaign's going to do this, all you have to say is Kamala Harris was the border czar. That's it. You don't have to say anything else. Run on the fact that she ran the border, which I have an opinion that this is going to cost Democrats much more than Biden's health. Because Biden's health, it was starting to even get Democrats worried about him. Like, okay, this dude has a problem. He's not all there mentally. He can't serve. But still, a large chunk of Democrats, even independents, they weren't making that big of a deal of his mental fitness, right? That was not the number one issue. That was maybe like number 3 or whatever, if that. But immigration is undoubtedly like the number 2 issue. Hell, in some polls, it's number 1. And Kamala Harris was the border czar. This is a big problem that I don't think Democrats are ready for. They picked the one person that ran the border for this entire administration. And look at it right now. This is kryptonite to Democrats, and they either don't care or they have no clue what the hell they're doing. Because why would you even consider picking Kamala Harris, the person that, by the way, was the border czar? And you might be saying, well, she polls better than Biden. Really? Insider Advantage a couple days ago, they released this poll. Georgia is Trump plus 10, Florida Trump plus 10, Pennsylvania Trump plus 7, Nevada Trump plus 10, Arizona Trump plus 6. Hell, I even went through the RCP average, and I averaged out the polls that had Trump versus Harris and Trump versus Biden. The unweighed average is Trump plus 1.75. Weighted average is slightly better for Trump. And yes, it's true. Biden does slightly worse than Harris, okay? He gets around a 2-point defeat, Harris just under 2. But you notice something about Trump's vote share? Against Harris, it's 48%. Against Biden, it's 47%. You know what that means? Against Harris, there are less undecideds, which means it makes it harder for her to win. Because with Biden, you could argue, well, Trump's only at 47%, like 8% of voters, they're undecided. We could still win. Well, with Trump versus Harris, you have what? What is that? Like 6% of undecideds are undecided? Hell, you can even look at the Trump versus Harris versus like RFK, and Harris crashes. She gets like 34% or something. It's bad. I am really starting to think that Democrats, they didn't think this through. Because Kamala Harris, yes, there's a slight polling bump on paper, which I'll get to in a minute, but it's not that big of a difference. It's slightly more. And Harris should be doing better. She's still, while yes, her favorability suck, there's still a lot of voters that don't know who she is. They may think, oh, she's a generic Democrat. So these numbers can only get worse when the Trump campaign attacks her for being the border czar. This is the problem Democrats have. They're already behind by 2 points. And that's being nice to Democrats. That's without the Trump campaign attacking Harris at all. What's going to happen in 2 months when the Trump campaign spent $150 million attacking her? What's going to happen? This number could get ugly real quick. Now, with all of this in mind, I have a big question for Democrats, because when you think of all this, when you think of the fundraising, you think of, the favorability, when you think of the polling, all of that. My biggest question to Democrats is, who the hell does Kamala Harris appeal to? I'm being dead serious. Who does she appeal to? Does she appeal to black voters? Maybe. The problem is, yeah, she does like 5 points better with black voters. Let's be friendly compared to Biden. The problem is, that's still 20 points worse than what Biden got back in 2020. So you're still losing a large chunk of black voters, even with Kamala Harris being the nominee. And she does awful with Hispanics. There's a bunch of polling to indicate she does worse with Hispanics than Biden does, which is just bad enough. Now, is that a guarantee that she's going to lose the Hispanic vote? I don't know, but there is data out there to show Harris does worse with those voters. She just does. All right? But the one voter block that I don't think Democrats are thinking about at all are white working class voters. Now, here's the map here. This is not an official prediction map. This is just what Democrats thought was the current map when Biden dropped out. That's what the internals show, that they were doing awful in Virginia, they were doing awful in New Mexico, Colorado, they were doing pretty bad in New Jersey, New York, etc. So, let's just say with Kamala Harris, she helps Democrats win Colorado, they hold on to New York, New Jersey, Delaware, whatever, okay? Fine. Let's not get into that just yet. We're not going to talk about will Trump win New York. I'm not going to get into that, okay? But here's the problem for Democrats. Okay, you win those states back. Trump still has to just win Georgia, which we know for a fact that he's winning by a lot. I mean, look at this. Trump plus 10. Arizona, he's winning by a lot. Trump plus, what is that, 6? Yeah, Trump plus 6. And Pennsylvania, which is right now Trump plus 7. That doesn't even include Nevada, which is Trump plus 10 or whatever. You see the problem? Right off the bat. Trump right now is killing Harris in these 4 states without having to do a damn thing. But when you factor in, wait a minute, white working class voters, they hate Kamala Harris. And this is something Democrats, they're not ready for. Joe Biden was the last Democrat at the national level that could kind of appeal to white working class voters. I know the Scranton Joe thing, that died years ago, but he still had some appeal to these voters. Like, okay, he could kind of do all right in northeastern Pennsylvania. He doesn't outright collapse in Michigan, you know, with these voters. But now, you have Kamala Harris as the nominee. Does anyone with a brain really believe she can appeal to these voters? Hell no. There's no way in hell she can appeal to these voters. If Biden was struggling with these people, do you think that Kamala Harris can make these people vote Democrat? No. So with that in mind, states like Wisconsin, Michigan, hell, even Minnesota at that point would be Republican. I'm not saying Harris is going to lose Minnesota for sure, but Harris does way worse with white voters, especially white working class voters in the Rust Belt. Which, by the way, are the voters that actually matter. Yes, African American turnout might be up 2%. Harris might do 2 points better with them. But that's still, again, worse than 2020 with Biden. He got like, what was it, 90% of the black vote? Harris gets 80%. Whoop de frickin' do. But when you factor in Harris is going to get crushed with white working class voters, it doesn't matter. Especially in the key swing states like Wisconsin, like Michigan, like Pennsylvania. I really don't see why Democrats think this was a good idea. The only theory that makes sense, they've realized 2024 was a lost cause. We're going to lose. So, let's get rid of Kamala Harris, who we actually know is a weak candidate. We know this, by the way. Just 2 months ago. No, just 2 weeks ago. We were hearing reports from the White House where they thought Kamala Harris would be a disaster. They thought she would get crushed. There's no way she could win. Hell, Nancy Pelosi, there's a reason she doesn't necessarily endorse Kamala Harris as of now. She doesn't think she can win. So either the party is so delusional that they think, actually, we can win now. Or they realized it's a lost cause. So let's give up 2024. Let's have Harris as a sacrificial lamb. And then 2028, we can come back with like Josh Shapiro. That's the only theory that makes kind of sense. Because I just don't see how Democrats look at this data and think, oh yeah, we can win with Harris. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.